Thank you, Peter. Welcome to the city of Tshwane, which is the capital, administrative capital of South Africa. By culture in South Africa, a young official must not speak after a senior has spoken. Mr. Councillor van der Merwe is my political principal, and I hope he'll forgive me for speaking after him. No, thank you very much. I think most of what we do at the city of Tshwane has been covered by Councillor van der Merwe, because there is a synergy in how we do business here in South Africa. We all supply chain emanates from the Constitution of South Africa. It is embedded in the Constitution. Stead spoke of transparency, cost effectiveness, competitiveness, and equity. But maybe before I start with this presentation, I'll just hasten to mention that the city of Tshwane is a member of ICLEI. So we have joined ICLEI as a signatory. We are a member of the cities network. Somebody earlier on in the morning session spoke about cities coming, metros and cities coming together to discuss issues of sustainable development. And we're also the member of South African Cities Network. We are the member of the Global Cities for Sustainable Procurement. We are the United Nations, members of the United Nations Global Compact on Sustainable Development. We are also a member of the 20 regions. Recently, our mayor attended the COP23 in Bonn. Yes, that's how we are participating internationally. Now, our sustainable procurement drive in the city of Tshwane actually supports the resource efficiency, local manufacturing, social responsibility, I won't read the whole slide, economic resilience, and environmental procurement plans. And we ensure responsible purchasing decisions. We encourage the triple bottom line as you can all, maybe you have had access to the Kin3 reports on the triple bottom line. That is of the people, the social, the planet, and the economy, not necessarily in that order, because I believe first is a planet, then the people, and then the profit. And then we ensure efficiency, effectiveness, economics, and environmental viability. Ensures the production and consumption of goods and services over a life cycle do not impact negatively on the environment. In addition to that, our city drives and support resource efficiencies of the local manufacturing. Department of Trade Industry has also regulated what we call local content, which is part of my slides, which will demonstrate how now we are using protecting the local industry through protecting the local manufacturers and local content. We ensure responsible purchasing decisions. We also encourage the triple bottom line, as I have already said, and so, okay, I've already spoken to this slide. The following slide is, as it is our supply chain, sustainable procurement is a tool to mainstream sustainability into key decisions and key city operations. We ensure procurement choices that yield economic, environment, and social benefits. Our sustainable procurement assists the city to embrace global sustainable development agenda. It also drives local innovations to secure environmentally innovative approaches. We help in creating an enabling environment and conditions for takeoff of sustainable procurement. In our quest for thriving green economy, this is the continuum loop from the mainstreaming sustainability into supply chain management processes, to supply chain management implementation, to Tshwane Development Strategy Vision 2030. What we have done, like Councillor has already alluded to this, we have already included our sustainable endeavors into the policy, sustainable procurement processes into the Tshwane supply chain management policy, because we realized that the issue of sustainable procurement in some people is just taken as a nice to have, a by the way processes, something that is cast a cursory lens. But if we put it in our policy, now it is law in the city. Now we can enforce it, and there should be compliance measures into this. We believe that because supply chain sustainable procurement is not legislated in South Africa. And in mostly the driver is government. There is a nonchalant approach to that. So we have taken the move to put it in our policy so that there could be certain compliance measures pertaining to that. Over and above that, the sustainable procurement planning and regulatory fundamentals in city include the Tshwane Green Economy Strategic Framework. We have the green bylaws in the city, the Tshwane Integrated Environmental Policy. I've already alluded to our supply chain management policy, where we have included green initiatives into the policy. The sustainable procurement strategy, the 2017 carbon intensive economy, and the sustainable procurement drive. Coming into sustainable innovation, we have the local procurement at the center here, but it's not only local procurement. We can also say public sector procurement, because public sector procurement is one of the tools that are used to drive policy, to drive strategy in South Africa. We also need to partner with the private sector, but the public sector is now at this stage taking the initiative. Supply chain management, where are below our divisions, and also the sustainable procurement and city sustainability that is driven by the Office of the Executive Mayor in the city. Now, the local procurement for sustainable innovation at the center, and then on the side we see the PPPFA. The PPPFA is preferential policy, Preferential Procurement Policy Framework Act. If you look into the history of South Africa, where there were inequalities in the past, we again using public sector procurement as a tool to drive policy to erase or to attempt to erase inequalities of the past. The key word here is preference. We are using public sector procurement to prefer the previously disadvantaged for empowerment. Also, the designation of sectors, processing of exemption requests. You know, what happens here is we are saying to protect the local industry and the local manufacturers from certain products that is not ignoring the trade agreements and the international trade agreement, but we are saying let us protect the local industry through local content of production. So Department of Trade and Industry designates certain commodities for local content. For an example, they will say the bus in South Africa has a local content for 80%. You ask yourself, a bus is a complete product. How would you separate the 80% and the 20%? We are saying this, that you do not have the capacity and the capability of manufacturing in South Africa, import it maybe from Brazil or Italy, but then assemble the bus here in South Africa, you see, so that we create employment. That is the local content for sustainable procurement. These are different sectors within the local content and the local procurement and the local designation of these sectors. We have what we call the SEZs, that is the special economic zones that, you know, are spread across the local content in South Africa. We have the IPAP, that is the industrial plan for industrial policy action plans for local content. And then this is a sustainable procurement strategy. Like I said, it gives the cities commitment to greening the economy. It takes the stakeholders to bring value beyond procurement processes by adopting programs to tackle environment degradation and consider issues of sustainable procurement. And also it is a tool to support various policy goals in the green economy. Strategy for sustainable procurement deliverables, that is the key areas: supplier market analysis, mapping and mapping of existing SP activities, standard and systems, whole life costing analysis, long-hanging fruits. We have the situational analysis, the SPP approaches, the stakeholder engagement, and the SPP implementation plan. Our real plan is first to do the status quo assessment. Where are we as it is? Market readiness analysis, development of the SPP strategy. I can say our SPP strategy in the city has been developed. It has been recommended to council for approval, and once it is approved, it will be integrated in our supply chain management processes. The rollout of the SPP, training and awareness, which we are doing in partnership with city sustainability, integration and mainstreaming. I'm just about to finish there. And at the core of it all, sustainable service delivery versus sustainable procurement, we have energy efficiency, water conservation, local economic development, municipal health services, and waste reduction. And this is our key priority areas in the department. In the city, we have a Department of Transport and Fleet, which are the main spenders, the big spenders in the city. We have waste management, we have energy and electricity, we have ICT, property and facilities and buildings. These are the key departments in the city where the big spend is. So we need to now, what we've been trying to do was to implement change management processes to get them on board. But now, once we have this as a policy, there will be compliance issues to deal with, because these departments must participate if we are going to move in the positive direction. Now, we are saying the actions that are required is to create opportunities for local market structures and support local emerging entrepreneurs. We are doing that through enterprise resource development, supplier development activities. And also, we embark into an intensive outreach program to increase knowledge of sustainable procurement internally and externally. We have 7 regions in Tshwane. We go on road shows, and we call our city sustainability colleagues to also partner with us in increasing this awareness. Because we can drive it from the city internal perspective, but if we don't have buy-in from our populace, it will be self-defeating. Again, change the procurement behavior of the city officials. We are doing that. Encourage that supplier service providers to change procurement behavior, stimulate the circular economy, and promote innovation towards development and product services. The following one is just a program, a stage program, the immediate ones, the next one, and also in the future, how we're going to do. Immediately, we are building Green Knowledge Partnership, GLCN, SAEC, and ICLEI, academics and research institutions. And then the SP actions is electric vehicles that we have in Tshwane, the compressed natural gas buses that we have, electric vehicles that we have, the EV infrastructure, green criteria on Tshwane House, e-procurement, integrating sustainable procurement to SEM processes. We have, like the councillor said, replaced all the globes we are replacing all the globes in the city with the LED lights towards driving the green procurement in the city. The RCDEE is just the name of the tender that we have used to do that. The green economy intervention, demonstrations, projects, green building bylaw, incentive, and the free Wi-Fi. The city of Tshwane is the first, take the lead ahead of city of Cape Town to implement free Wi-Fi, free of use, citywide. How many minutes do I have? So our long-hanging fruit is a paperless administration, event greening, municipal green buildings, our transport fleet, diversification of fuel mix, diversification of fuel mix for buses, and office provisions. Now, we are saying immediately 2017 to 2018, we apply green environmental minimum criteria on our bids. Our bids will go out saying only those who meet certain criteria are allowed to submit bids, and we are going to make it to make it a mandatory requirement. We say there is a minimum of the green procurement issues that you must qualify for before you submit a bid to the city of Tshwane. Before we even look at your bid, we see to it that you qualify. We have qualified to the minimum requirement. If you don't, your bid does not go to the next stage. That's what we are going to do immediately. Applied specified environmental minimum requirements in our bids and applied specified environmental minimum requirements, that is in the long term. In short, that is my presentation, but what I can say is the public sector procurement is driving this. We need to partner with the private sector. For an example, if you look into our local content initiative, the DTI says is designating certain industries, certain products for local content, but only in public sector procurement. Now we are closing the floodgate for South Africa to be flooded with maybe cheap commodities from abroad. But in the private sector, it is not happening. So the floodgates are open. But if we can synergize the two, we are more than one, half the battle will be won. Thank you.